important game of the year. It's Munster semi-final. We want to get back to a Munster final again. This is where it started for us last year, so it's as important for us as it is for Cork. I don't see any difference between us, and I would imagine we both want it pretty badly, and hopefully that will show outside.
You obviously won't have Evan Comerford this afternoon. Now, given that the way his kickouts work and how important they are when you build your play, does that mean you have to change your approach today?
I know Kieran Kendrick has been with us for the last 2 years, and he knows our system of play very well. So, no, it hasn't impacted on us insofar as we won't be changing our game plan. Obviously, Evan is very, very good keeper, very good at what he does, one of the best in the country. But no, Kieran, we've every faith in Kieran, and we won't be changing our style of play to counteract the loss of Evan.
The views of today's managers. Now, Colm Cooper, you've been looking at Tip's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, and to be fair to Tip, they've a lot of strong running power throughout their team, especially coming from their half-back line. In this instance, you can see Philip Austin making a pass here to Jimmy Feehan going through in the Munster final. It was against ourselves after a minute, and they really put us on the back foot, and I think that's a big launch pad for them.
Hear from two former players who wore the Cork and Tipperary jerseys with distinction. Daniel Goulding and Declan Brown are pitchside with Joanne Cantwell.
Well, clearly a lot has changed in Cork football in those 7 years since Daniel was helping them to win an All-Ireland. But a lot has changed with Tip football since Declan was winning his 2 All-Stars as well. But maybe you can give us an insider's insight. What has changed in those 7 years?
Look, I think probably a lot of the elder statesmen that were big leaders kind of have moved on, and it's taken a bit of time just to come up to the pace of it without these guys. And look, I've been part of it for the last couple of years, and the lads involved would not be happy with how things have gone, and look, today's the day to change it.
What way do you see them approaching it then? Do you think they can change it so quickly, since it's only a couple of weeks since they
I think they just have to go for it. They have to play with purpose and intensity, and just take on Tip, and don't let the game pass them by. I think they just have to play without thinking and really go for it.
Do you see Tip playing that way? Because I know you have some concerns about the way that the Tip players might approach today.
Yeah, I suppose last year was a dream for us, Joanne. You know, when we played Galway, especially in Croke Park, we just went for it. We had nothing to lose. I think there's a bigger prize here. You know, it's to get to the Munster final, to get to the last 12. So I can see us being a small bit cagey, as with Cork. I can't see either team taking it, to be honest with you. They're going to probably have a sweeper or two behind the ball as well. So it's going to be interesting. But I genuinely think the team that has the bravery to go for it will win this game.
So you think that it doesn't suit Tip if they do play that way?
Well, if Cork played a sweeper, I think we're used to playing that. Liam Kearns has set us up like that for the last year, and I think he'll set up again today for that game. But I would just love to see us having a go. But as I said, it's the prizes at the end of this is it's Munster final and get last 12 for Tipperary. That's massive to try and get back to Croke Park again. So it's just, I think they'll be a bit cagey, and please God, they might open up during the game.
I did put it to Liam Kearns, the Evan Comerford factor, the way that, because I think people don't necessarily realise how important an influence he had from goal.
Yeah, I suppose whoever really gauges for or accounts for a goalkeeper being suspended or injured, you know. So it's my own clubmate Kieran Kendrick is getting his chance today, and it's great to see that. But like, Kieran hasn't much action, you know, so he's going to have to trust himself to try and place the kickouts the best way he can. You know, he's not going to do what Evan has done over the last couple of years, because in my opinion Evan has been the best goalie last year. You know, he's unfortunate not to get an All-Star, but that's it, that's the way it is, and Kieran is a great shot stopper, so if he can get his kickouts right today, I don't think it'll be any difference. Just
finally, do you have faith that Cork do have what it takes to turn it around?
I think so. I think they have the players to do so. I suppose the key for Cork is not to turn over the ball and go to periods for long periods like they do. And finally, they need to execute. They had 3 or 4 goal chances against Waterford, and they missed them. And look, we need to get the likes of Colm O'Neill and Paul Kerrigan into these scoring positions, because they're the men that can do the damage.
OK, Daniel, Declan, thank you very much. Just watch out around the goal area as well, because they had to relay the pitch just in that section here in Porky Rin earlier this morning, and it is quite bumpy, so that should be interesting. Also, it's quite dry down here pitch side, but there is quite a strong breeze as well, which might have a big impact on today's game.
Decided to go short and work it out incrementally. John O'Rourke. This is Colm O'Driscoll back towards Michael Shields. Big one now, him aimed towards the big full forward Kelleher, touching it down. Colm O'Neill hit a defender. So close to 5-metre line as Robbie Kiley heads off, and again slipping down here on the greasy surface. Eventually it's taken away out of trouble here via Rory Dean. Carried on well here to Luke Connolly. And the Nemo Ranger player kicks it high up into the air. Now, does it have the necessary direction? I think it does. And Luke Connolly gets the opening point of the match.
Yeah, well, I suppose, Ger, the two best chances have fallen to Colm O'Neill and Luke Connolly. That was an exceptional score by Luke Connolly. I'd say the Gooch himself would have been happy with one of those to start the game and settle maybe a nervous Cork team who are under a severe litmus test today.
Well, this was that moment earlier on there, and that was very well stopped. I think it was Alan Campbell who got in the way of that shot. Good mark taken by Ian Maguire. Down once again towards big Peter Kelleher. Lets it run on this time. Luke Connolly anticipating, just about managing to keep this one in play. After him goes Shane O'Connell, the Tipperary corner back from Golden Kilfeacle. Beautifully sonorous name. Spent a lot of the season playing at fullback in the past. Liam Boland trying to cut inside. Boland does well, succeeds, trying to get this one on target. It looks a nice shot. Very, very good point indeed. The equaliser scored by Liam Boland.
Yeah, it's a great point against the win from Liam Boland. And a lot of Cork bodies getting back behind the ball, but Liam Boland showed great upper strength there. A lovely sweet left foot, and we're all level here.
First year on the panel as well, Liam Boland. Kept the score at 144 points at that stage. This a chance to tag over a second point, and he'll be looking for a confident start. It wasn't an easy kick, but that one has gone wide anyway. 13 metres out. Back it comes once again, this time towards Sweeney. Finally picked up by Boland, who got the opening point. There's an opening here. Chance maybe for Foley. Back once again to Sweeney. Sweeney getting it on the right and nonchalantly tapping it over the bar. Good point by Conor Sweeney. His first of the afternoon, and Tipperary lead for the first time in this match.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot more room up in the Tipperary forward line than there is in the Cork forward line at the minute. And a break attack there, and maybe an earlier ball into Quinlivan or Sweeney would have reaped maybe a goal chance, but a good point off his right.
Seen so far, Benny, Tipperary look more assured when they get into the attack. They've had a couple of chances, but what about this one here with Paul Kerrigan? They had a goal chance earlier on. They've another one here, and it's put wide inexplicably.
Yes, that's two great goal chances for Cork, one for Colm O'Neill and one for Paul Kerrigan. You'd expect both of those players to put them away, but maybe this is symptomatic of Cork football at the minute. They are playing attacking football, they are playing good football, but they're just not getting the results at the minute.
Against Cork teams, they won last year, Tipperary, in his Limerick days in 2003. He scored a victory for Limerick by 16 points to 6. This one has been driven wide by Quinlivan. Well, that was a good chance, but some 14 minutes exactly gone. Catches it, but again can't steer it on target. Kendrick, who's a 27-year-old Garda, kicking this one out for Tipperary, but it's palmed back down towards Paul Kerrigan, a man who will work his socks off, you can be certain, to try and influence proceedings. That time it's Luke Connolly chancing it again. It worked the last time, it doesn't work here, and already Cork have 5 wides. Tipperary have an injured player. Well, the shooting is rushed, it's hurried, it's lacking in any kind of composure.
Yeah, it would lead to, there's an ideology that a lot of work has been done in the gym, and a lot of work has been done on the training fields, and we're not seeing the level of scoring that we should be seeing by finely honed athletes such as on display today. So we're hoping conditions aren't great, Ger, to be honest, and it is a swirly breeze, but we would like to think that the shooting would improve before the end of the day.
Well, it's 11 went up there, challenged by Rory Dean. And down went Quinlivan, and anytime he goes down and there's an injury, there's an immediate concern, because he
effectively ended our chances. But in a way, it was easy to marvel at a marquee forward and a great forward in the modern game. It'd be an awful pity if he wasn't to finish today.
Just watch this again here. Down he went. I think it's the left leg just gave way under him there. Oh, this cousin, of course, of Noel and John McGrath of the hurlers. Here he comes again. Player slipping and sliding. There's an attempted block, but he still manages to get enough on it and put it over the bar. Good work by Liam McGrath.
Well, if you're going to come on for Michael Quinlivan and your first bit of action is to kick the ball over the bar, then it's a big boost of confidence for Liam McGrath, who's just come on, and a big boost for Tipperary as well. And
as bad a start for Cork as they could have hoped in the kind of breezy conditions that they're all having to contend with this afternoon. Every kick, as Benny Tierney was saying, is a very difficult one for all of the free takers. So let's see how Conor Sweeney can do. Hoping to make it 4-1 with about 9 minutes to go to half-time. Hangs in the air. Again, just lacking that little bit of direction. Tried to measure it, trying to curl it in, but it didn't oblige for him. So it's challenged by Paddy Codd. And the ball is then turned over as he tried to link up with John O'Rourke. Didn't quite work out for Donnacha O'Connor there, but he's in now at full forward.
you have to compliment the Tipperary rearguard again. They're closing down every avenue for Cork, and at the minute Cork have no real answer in breaking through this Tipperary rearguard at all.
Goalkeeper has had a relatively easy time so far on his first start for Tipperary, Kieran Kenrick. This time Diarmuid Foley manages to hold possession, give it out to Josh Keane. Back to Fox once again, who of course is a nephew of Pat Fox, one of Tipperary's stars in the late 80s and early 90s. And his nephew is starring right now with Bill Maher. Back into the centre it comes again as it's carried forward once more by Jimmy Feehan. Left half back, notionally, to Liam Boland. Crisply struck. Will it go all the way in towards Sweeney? He's got it. He lays it off to McGrath. And they would have deserved that one. But again, it sweeps across the face of goal. Excellent. Marr, Kiley and Feehan doing the business for Tipperary. Conor Sweeney inevitably involved in the thick of the action. On it goes again here. And a good run by Alan Campbell. Laid it off to Liam McGrath. McGrath, who won a county title in football last year in Tipperary, belts it out here. And finally, a shot that's gone over the bar. There is another point. It's taken a long, long time. It's another Tipperary score, and Robbie Kiley has got it.
Robbie Kiley, what a score off the left foot, but that all came from two Cork forwards going for the one ball and giving away a possession.
We were predicting a Cork backlash. That certainly has not happened.
No, I think the Cork players in there in that dressing room, some of them should be looking for the back door to go home, because it's been an embarrassment and an insult to the great tradition of Cork sport and Cork football in general. They've been rudderless, passionless. They're like a disorganised rabble there for the first half. They needed to get a good start. They missed a couple of goal chances. But since that, they have absolutely gone out of the game. I can't understand their tactics either. Cork, playing with a strong wind, have pulled a sweeper back and allowed an inexperienced Tipperary goalkeeper take short kick-outs. So the management on the Cork team should have been telling the players, push right up, force long kick-outs and take the game to them in the Tipperary half of the field. But there's been nothing happening. Tipperary, a much the better team, much more composed in possession, and should be farther in front, really.
Why do Cork lack such fire, Colin?
I don't know. Time and time again, they took the wrong decisions, very poor decision making. They got turned out over the line 3 or 4 times throughout the first half. For Pat O'Healy, they need to do a lot of soul searching in that dressing room, because that was absolutely terrible. 1 point playing at home in the championship, after we expected coming from a poor Waterford game for them to put on a bit more of a show tonight and a bit more fire in the belly. We didn't see it.
No, we didn't see it. Now, they did have some early goal chances. Let's take a look at those.
Yeah, the first one here, Michael Shield puts a great ball, diagonal ball, landing on the pin-out spot. It's a really, really dangerous ball. And Colin O'Neill just playing with very little confidence at the moment. He was right to go for goal, in my opinion. It was just a poor finish. He has to hit the net in that situation. So early in the match, I think that may have settled them. But again here, Colin O'Neill picks up a ball, slips Paul Kerrigan in. This is what Paul Kerrigan is all about, running at pace, taking him on. But when he gets into position, that's a poor finish. We saw the same down in Waterford 2 weeks ago. Paul needs to finish these ones if Cork are going to get back in form.
He could have slipped it inside. He had a man loose right inside.
Say nowadays they have forwards of the calibre of Conor Sweeney and Michael Quinlivan, 2 of them in the inside forward line. So it's Tipperary leading by 3 points and launching the first attack with George Hannigan getting it down in there to one of those players I was talking about, Conor Sweeney. 1 point in the first half, easily turns away from Jamie O'Sullivan and easily puts it over the bar. What Cork were not able to do down at that end, Sweeney does it in the opening 20 seconds of the second half.
And there we see the difference in Route 1 football. George Hannigan straight, never looked sideways or back.
Resolution being demonstrated by those unyielding Tipperary backs, and finally Liam Casey kicks it away down to the one man down there leading the attack at the moment. That's Liam McGrath. Back in as far as Conor Sweeney, and Sweeney goes for 2 in a row and gets it. Brilliant work by Conor Sweeney. He's got 3 points here. Man got a goal last year, and Tipperary lead Cork here at Porkyreen by 6 points to 1.
Well, we see very naive play again from Cork.
On Powter continuing his run there. I think it may well have been Colm O'Driscoll who made way for him. That's 2 O'Driscolls replaced by Cork as Kerrigan comes in, kicks it with the left and puts it over the bar. Well, you can see yourself, they've got a long time, some 4 minutes since their last score.
Well, Ger, I think we might have a game breaking out here in Páirc Uí Rinn. We've seen more shooting action in the first 5 minutes of the second half than we saw in 35 minutes of the first half.
Yes, they've looked porous from the word go in that defensive area, but they've won the kick out here. They're attacking it this time. From O'Neill to O'Rourke. Back in again to Maguire. He goes down injured, and Donnacha O'Connor comes, looks composed, and drills it over the bar. His first point since coming on here. Donnacha O'Connor, the 36-year-old, making it 6 points to 3.
Yeah, and we see a bit of life and vitality in the Cork forward unit. You can see the players now are talking to each other, something they didn't do in the first half. They now feel like they're in the game for the
attendance of 4,570 at Páirc Uí Rinn. 2 Cork players went for the one ball and left it there for Liam Boland to take on. Boland, goal chance. Boland, stopped by the goalkeeper. Should have buried it in the back of the net. Ken O'Halloran did well. It was directed far too near the goalkeeper. Cork, or the tip. It's not the knee of Michael Quinlan, it's the ankle instead, the ligaments. And they'll be hoping that that can be repaired if they reach a Munster final in 3 weeks' time. Cork have other ideas. Ian Maguire, as far as Rory Deane. We've played the opening 6.5 minutes of the second half. Taking it forward is Tomás Clancy. Back out to Loughrey, back in again it comes, this time to Deane. Preparing to kick it is Paul Kerrigan, who's got a second. They could only get 1 in the first half, and they've already kicked over 3 in the second in the opening 7 minutes.
Yeah, well, they have to get the ball to Paul Kerrigan. He's the man that should be at the end of the move. You saw there how his ability to shoot and his ability, it's going to need all of those abilities if he's going to drag Cork across the line here. But they are looking more potent, they are playing more direct football, and they look a wee bit more fluent as well.
After as wretched a first half as you could bear to look at, suddenly it's become a game. Luke Connolly hitting it on his left. He got Cork's first, he's got another one. My goodness, I don't know what was in the tea that they were pouring out over there in the Cork dressing room at half-time, but it's worked.
Hey, football is all about confidence, Ger. They've tagged on a few points. They're now beginning to believe in themselves. Colin O'Rourke talked about it at half-time. The crowd is now lifted as well, and Cork now are in a match, and in a match that they weren't in for 40 minutes.
Back in towards O'Rourke again. They're looking to try and draw level here. Something that seemed scarcely imaginable when there were some 6-1 down early stages of the second half. 5 behind, now it's 1 behind, and Tip have it back again. And it's Bill Maher. About to be challenged by the other number 5, who is Tomás Clancy. Beautiful ball across towards McGrath. Stealing a march here on Kevin Crowley, and Crowley got the hand in, it did well. Deflected it away from McGrath. Wins it back for Cork. It's a much better contest in the second half. Mark Collins, nicely forward here for Donnacha O'Connor. Rolled in low this time, not an easy one for any forward to take. Bending his back is Kerrigan, chasing after him Robbie Kiley, and Kerrigan hits it. They think about it, and it's gone wide. Mark Collins still on the field there while they attend to Barry O'Driscoll off it. Back in towards Collins again, and Collins has levelled the match. Cork 6, Tipperary 6. Now who's going to win it? Coming forward is Kevin Crowley. Takes a return here, the Mill Street man, 23 years of age. Moving with some purpose. Barry O'Driscoll can kick it from here, and does. It puts Cork back into the lead for the first time since the 5th minute of this match. 7-6 they lead.
Yeah, they're pushing up now. Cork have pushed up. Colin O'Rourke mentioned
stage that breaks down, and Maloney's able to start maybe the next attack for the Premier men. All the way back here as far as Paddy Codd. Bill Maher carrying it on. Well, they've got the breeze. Just looking at the trees away in the background beyond the stands on the far side, it's a very fresh breeze still, blowing down towards the Cork goal. Shane O'Connell looking to try and get the next score for Tipperary. Beautifully in there as far as Sweeney, very much the man. Conor Sweeney has got a 3rd in the second half and a 4th in all, and again he ties it up at 7 points apiece with 53 minutes gone.
Yeah, great run by Shane O'Connell, and they're giving it to the man, their marquee forward. Michael Quinlan's got off.
15 minutes to go. It is Alan Campbell, and Campbell was fouled, and the referee is going to... 4,500 people here in the ground watching. No problems. A fifth for Conor Sweeney. Another one for Tipperary, and there is no separating these teams. 8 apiece, level for the 4th time. Time ago he's in the stand here today, but they could have done with him. This is Collins into the path once again here of Michael Shields. Back out, that was Hurley. Now Paul Kerrigan picking it up, trying to go forward, having a go. Real hit and hope one, and it lands on the netting. Well worth trying. A third for Paul Kerrigan, the team captain. He's anxious to play in the 2017 Munster football final in Páirc Uí Chaoimh in a couple of weeks' time. Will he get his way? It's 9-8. This free kick is going to be taken by Colm O'Neill, and it'll be just his first point of the match.
Just to answer your difference there, Ger, an attacking mindset not only is good for Cork, it's good for the spectator, and it's good for us, and it's good for our game. And Cork have displayed an attacking mindset which they didn't display in the first half. And
over 5 minutes to go, so you can start thinking about that. Robbie Kiley advancing. Left off there as far as O'Halloran, and that's beautifully over. He's a lovely kicker of the ball, Kevin O'Halloran, wearing the number 16 jersey that you normally associate with the substitute goalkeeper, but he's made it 10-9, and Tipper not finished yet.
Yeah, it's a great score. It's very much against the run of play at the minute. Cork have been dominant for the last 15 minutes and winning everything around the centre of the field. But a great score by Ken O'Halloran, and Tipper still in the match. It's hard to believe they were actually saying that after the first half display, that Tipper are still in the match. But that's the way it is at the minute. Cork look favourites, and the bookies might have been right. 22
Jason Lonergan has come on, and that's the last sub that Liam Kearns can make.
Influence on the Cork team around the middle sector of the field, gaining possession and feeding it off and not wasting the ball like they were doing in the first half.
Yellow card for Paul Kerrigan, scorer of 3 points. So we're into the last 2 minutes, plus perhaps 3 minutes of additional time after that. Cork have scored 9 points in the second half. Tipperary have scored 5. It's been a much, much better game. Oh, not sure what happened there. Cork player went down very theatrically, having, I don't know, was he touched by Robbie Kiley or not? Looked very dramatic. Colm O'Shaughnessy sending this one in. Tipperary score! There's a goal, and it's been scored by Conor Sweeney in the 69th minute. A man has now got a goal and 5. And will that put paid to Cork's hopes of getting to the Munster final in the new Páirc Uí Chaoimh? And will it be Tipperary instead? 2 points the margin, and we're heading towards injury time.
Well, if you want a dramatic finish, he's done everything that was asked him today, Conor Sweeney, but here come Cork.
They certainly do. They've got a chance. They've got a goal, and it's Luke Connolly. Connolly's got a goal and 2 points. Tipperary's lead scarcely lasted 20 seconds. 1-10 to 1-9. What a second half.
Colm O'Rourke said at the start of the game there'd be goals there. He didn't think they'd all be in the 1 minute. What an end to a game that was started off so slowly but is finishing so fanatically.
Some of the fans won't have any nails left. They're biting them at this stage. Well, Tipperary felt they were within inches, I suppose, and moments of reaching the Munster final. They may yet. It's only a 1 point game, and in came Donegal O'Connor that time to challenge Brian Fox, and the referee penalises him, and it gets a little heated, and there's a jersey pull. 5 additional minutes will be played. This game is far from done and dusted. What a 60 seconds we had. Free kick which Kevin O'Halloran is going to take. Referee doing some note taking. calling across Donegal O'Connor because he did drag down a Tipperary player a moment ago there by the jersey. So it's a case of what colour is this? It's a yellow card. First of the Cork substitutes introduced in this match. So now Tipperary have to get that ball downfield. They've got plenty of time, 4 minutes to go. Still anybody's game. Paul Kerrigan out over the sideline. Tipperary's attack next. They've got the sideline ball. O'Halloran back in once again here. Kicked by Alan Maloney. Back out towards Ian Maguire. Maguire just about holding on here for dear life. Challenged very strongly. One of them is Bill Maher doing the challenging. Right on the end line. It's picked up by Kevin Crowley after a wretched, awful first half. It's been a rip-roaring second 37 minutes so far.
Yeah, it's been totally entertaining, Ger, and I'm not going to be the prophet of doom here, but I would say a draw might be on the cards here in a replay next week, possibly.
In Thurles. Next Saturday would be the date of the replay. Kieran Kenrick will be wondering, will he be playing in that? So too Ken O'Halloran, but they prefer to play in the Munster final. The object of the exercise. Cork sweeping forward again here. Barry O'Driscoll has had some very influential moments during the second half. Always the kind of sub you can call on to bring on, and he'll do a good job. Michael Shields. 3 minutes to go. Lochry back here as far as Donegal O'Connor. Mark Collins now holding on. They're in no particular hurry, letting the clock tick down. We should remember, however, the man who makes the announcement via the referee always says at least the amount of time that's added on. So at least 5 minutes. It could be more. In the Cork v Waterford game, it wasn't very much, about 8 seconds, I think. Here's Michael Shields again carrying it forward. They're determined to hold on to their slight advantage, 110 to 19. Barry O'Driscoll. Opportunity as the ball is in the middle of the field right now, Benny, to call out who your man of the match is, I think.
Well, I don't think he's put a foot wrong all day, but it has to be Conor Sweeney from Tipperary.
Conor Sweeney is the man of the match, but will he be a winner in this game as Cork carry it forward again? Gary Murphy loses it, but his arm was pulled by Alan Campbell, and it's Cork who have the free kick, and they have the chance now with just under 2 minutes of the so-called 5 minutes allotted of extra time in which to try and maybe seal a victory here. But remember, there were 2 points up the last time.
Chip win for Cork. One of the big questions now, what approach will we see in the provincial final date at the new Páirc Uí Chaoimh in 3 weeks' time?
Let's be honest, the players have taken an awful lot of slack. The management taken a lot of slack, and the players dug out that win today. It's great credit to them.
It's 4 weeks to the qualifiers, and we'll need all of those 4 weeks, I'd say, to get our players back, at least some of them back anyway. And we just don't know until we appraise where we are in the next week or two.
All right, well, they get through, and there you have confirmation that Cork will play Kerry in the Munster final on July the 2nd in what's hoped to be the new and redeveloped Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It'll be live here on RTE2 with a 2 p.m. throw-in. But Kevin, you thought that maybe in the first half, when Cork only got 1 point, they went 40 minutes without a score, which was extraordinary. You thought maybe the Cork setup didn't suit their play.
Yeah, if there's one thing that frustrates me days with the modern game is this obsession with defensive structures. Now, Tomas will know Cork football better than me, but looking in and knowing some of the players, I just felt in the first half they played a system that didn't suit them. You know, they were playing with a sweeper with the breeze, and you know, in the second half they kind of threw off the shackles and went more direct, and I think that's where most of their scores came from. So for me, looking in, it looks like the whole system wrong.
Will anyone say it's a bit rich of a Donegal Allman to talk about defensive systems?
Yeah, I suppose so. But I think, you know, you have to look at the players you have and, you know, come up with a system that suits them as opposed to copying everybody else. Because if you do that, you know, you see what happened last night in the first half. It's not nice to watch.
Tip will feel a bit unlucky, Tomas. Would you agree?
I suppose so, Des. You know, Tipperary after last year put themselves up there. They got to a semi-final. You know, they're not the whipping boys of Munster anymore. You know, they're a team that have to be reckoned with. They beat Cork last year. I have no doubt that they came down to Cork looking for a win. In fairness to the Cork management, you have to give them credit in that they shook up the team. You know, they brought in players. Some of the players there in the second half stood up. You know, Luke Connolly, Ian Maguire, Kevin Crowley, I thought did well. Paul Kerrigan was excellent.
But you're still not convinced, though, are you, overall?
Look, Des, I thought that first half wasn't football. You know, they looked. Look, I'm not going to go into it again. You know, they didn't seem to know what they were doing in that first half. And I think at half time, when the shackles were thrown off, and they were basically said, just go for them, they went for them and they played football. And I think the crowd got behind them. But in reality, you know, you talk about the players did stand up, and it's not about looking ahead to the future. But at the end of the season, big decisions will have to be made. You know, on either side of the table, by county board, by management, on what they're going to do and who's going to go forward. And you know, the funny thing about it is, in Cork football, there are good people involved at club level there, and maybe it's time for some of them to put their hand up. And if they don't want to get involved in Cork management, maybe it's time for them to look outside the county. But Cork, to be fair to them, they're into a Munster final. No matter what we say, they're in a Munster final. They have Páirc Uí Chaoimh to look forward to. They have Kerry to look forward to. I've no doubt that the two of that will raise it up again. But chalk and cheese the first half and the second half there. And I've said it all along, that Cork team are capable of more than they're producing. They showed it in the second half. They put up their hands. They stood tall yesterday, and hopefully it will continue for them. Not against Kerry, guys.
Okay, there's one obvious manager springing to mind here, but of course they could be the Munster champions in 3 weeks' time, so we'll go and see. Lots of big game action to come, some great action to come. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.